Since 2020 took away everything good in my life, please tell me how do I pay employees? I want to know, how do I feed my patrons when they walk through that door? How will my business ever survive? These are all excellent questions. Thank goodness we have an incredible guest lined up to discuss these very issues with us right now. Now I'm going to go over there, I'm going to switch mics, and I'm going to start the show. So don't go anywhere. Nobody go anywhere. All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, please say hello to your cast for the evening. Alexis Camille, Chris Rodriguez, Jim Robinson, Heather Meyer, and Fred Chang. And now, please welcome your host for the evening, the one, the only, Tane Danger.
Yay! Hey, everybody. Oh, this is so fun and exciting. I could not be more jazzed about tonight's show. This is going to be great. So my name is Tane Danger. I am the host of this show called The Theater of Public Policy. I am live right now inside a completely deserted Bryant Lake Bowl Theater, which is both wonderful and warm and a little spooky, but great. And I am so thankful that you all are here watching this show with us. So what is the Theater of Public Policy? Every week, we talk to a smart, intelligent, cool person about what they know a ton about, and we get them to tell us their story. You all get to ask them questions, which I hope that you will put in the chats below us. And then we have this team of amazing improv comedy performers who takes everything that we have talked about and bring it to life through entirely unscripted improv comedy theater. So everything's all made up because it's 2020. We're all virtual. So everybody is in a different space. We're all Skyping into each other. And then we broadcast to you live in your homes. So tonight's a very special show, and I'm really looking forward to this amazing chat with our amazing guest. But before we do that, I have to do a couple quick thank yous to set the table. So number one, I mentioned we're here in the Bryant Lake Bowl, which is our home theater. We have been doing our shows here for 5-6 years, and we love this place. And as we'll talk about tonight, this is a uncharted time for restaurants and bars and theaters. And so we are really committed to making sure that the Bryant Lake Bowl stays around and stays open, which is why we wanted to be able to keep doing our shows from here with at least me broadcasting from here. But what is it that you can do? Well, you can support the Bryant Lake Bowl by ordering from their food menu, which they do as takeout, or out in their fabulous back patio or on their front porch here, or you can also go on their website, and they have fabulous things that you can buy with their name on it that says like Bryant Lake Bowl. And I have a fabulous hat. When it gets a little colder, I'll wear the hat for you sometime. The point is, there's not a whole lot of places in the whole world that are both a restaurant and a bowling alley and a cabaret theater in one thing. And Minneapolis has maybe the only one. And so we got to make sure that it's around. They keep opening the door for me to come in here and film our show every Monday night, and so you all should support them. Number two, Finnegan's Beer. I love Finnegan's Beer, and look I have a whole growler of it tonight, and I'm not going to finish that entire thing. Probably not. So what is so great about Finnegan's Beer? They are a Minneapolis-based brewery that makes delicious, wonderful beer, and 100% of their profits go towards feeding the hungry. So you can feel great while drinking great beer. It is a fabulous setup, a win-win-win. And here is the kicker, which is really fabulous for fans of the Theater of Public Policy. If you go on Finnegan's website right now and order a growler like this and use the code T2P2, you get not 10, 20% off. 20% off your growler order. So please go get some beer from Finnegan's. I think that the best thing would be you go get like a couple of growlers of Finnegan's beer, like maybe this coming Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because their brewery tap room is open on the weekends. And then you come and you save it and drink it while you're watching next Monday's show. Isn't that clever? I don't want to talk anymore because I am so excited for our guest tonight. When we had a committee this season who put together a proposed list of show topics and things that we should cover this fall in particular, one of the top ones is they wanted to know, how is the restaurant industry doing right now with so many things are so uncertain? And we talked about who we could have to be the person to talk to us about this. And there's one person, there's probably several, but one person particularly who A, is an amazing human being, B, has a delicious restaurant, and then 3, has really found some really interesting ways to navigate, as I said, totally uncharted territory, both in terms of COVID and the uprisings that we saw here in Minneapolis, and how to really think differently about what our job and our role is in this world. And I could not be more excited. You may have seen him on the Food Network. You've hopefully tasted his amazing food at Pimento Kitchen, but I am going to actually save the bulk of his story for him to tell, because he has a fantastic backstory. For right now, wherever you are, make a big round of applause as we welcome to the virtual stage, Mr. Tomme Beevas, everybody! Yay! Everyone's clapping at home.
Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah. So I alluded to this, Tomme. So Pimento Kitchen, I really want to talk about it, but I really feel like before we even get to this amazing kitchen restaurant that you have opened here in Minneapolis and is fabulous, can you tell us a little bit about your story, how you got to this? Because I don't even want to say anything. It's like you have one of the most interesting backstories of any restaurateur I've ever known.
Man, I think all restaurateurs have great stories as to how they end up in this industry, because only a crazy person would be in this industry and love it as much as we do. But my story basically started in my grandmother's kitchen in the heart of Kingston, Jamaica, where my grandma, Baby Lou, I just followed her around the kitchen, and she banished me from the kitchen at about 7, 8 years old, because she's like, yo, what are you doing in the kitchen? But I was passionate enough to where I kept showing up in the kitchen. And fast forward a few years later, she took me under her wings and she taught me quite a lot in the kitchen. And ever since then, I've had the passion to be cooking and a passion for kitchen and a passion for feeding communities, right? And yet, when I went to undergrad, I chose political science and economics because naturally that's what everybody does if they care about food. Obviously.
Yeah, all the cool kids, want to go into political science and economics. Like, makes perfect sense.
Exactly. And so, of course, naturally, while I was there in undergrad, the only culinary expertise I was harnessing was cooking at 4 o'clock in the morning for drunken friends. We were cooking a storm nonstop in college. But nonetheless, after undergrad, I moved to Washington, D.C., where I worked at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, helping to do corporate responsibility at the U.S. Chamber. And then we created like a presidential initiative after 9/11 that was around getting businesses involved in community relations. And so we recruited more than 1,500 businesses to this 3-year campaign after 9/11 to commit to corporate responsibility. And then from there, I just kept following the DC train, right? And started running the President's Volunteer Service Award for the White House, and then got recruited from that role over to Minnesota. Of course, I was like, yeah, sure. Mini what? Mini where? Sure, why not? Let's go see what America has to offer, right? And I thought I was going to be here for 3 years, maybe 4 tops. And it's been 14 years since. And I got here focusing on helping to build global community relations efforts for a food company. And ever since then, I've just been having a blast. And I got casted for and won a Food Network reality show. And that's Pimento.
Okay, so I just feel like there is like literally an entire like PBS documentary about all of this backstory to how you got to this place. But we only have an hour for the show. So I am going to jump to, you were working in corporate responsibility for a big company here in Minnesota, and then what was it? How did you decide? Like, yeah, I'm gonna open a restaurant. That seems like a good idea.
Yeah, after getting my MBA, I was itching for something to do, but I can't. I have to be honest, man. It was basically me coming home every day, cooking, because I'd miss culture and I'd miss family, I'd miss Jamaica, and so one of the ways I wish I connect to my culture is through food. And so every day I'd come home, I'd fire up the grill, and neighbors would smell the food. And Yoni, my business partner, still today, was my neighbor on one side, and they would just be in my backyard all day, every day. And lo and behold, we said, all right, you know what? Let's charge you suckers for it. And so we took that same grill and $100 tent from Target and went to our neighborhood garage sale and gave away the food free for two reasons. One, we didn't know how people were going to respond to Minnesota, to my Jamaican food in Minnesota, and so I was like, all right, they can't sue me if it's free food. And then separately, got them to sign up to complete our survey to where we can learn what they thought. And one thing that we learned is Minnesotans don't like bones. And thus we created boneless jerk chicken. The only spot on the face of the earth where you're gonna get boneless jerk chicken, because Minnesotans are like, wait, what's that in my food? And then and so yeah, we took that on the road, and from street events, we started building that grassroots movement. So people would see us on the street, they could smell the food, and Yoni and I would be out there just working the crowd. And we actually did this with volunteers, with friends, with our community coming together. So I would leave Cargill, put on my Pimento t-shirt, race over to a street event, and there were our friends and family, neighbors out there volunteering, giving away, selling the food. We only gave away food once. That was it. But from there, we were selling, and they were there helping us. And then fast forward a year after that, we got casted for and won a Food Network reality show, which gave us our first location free at the Burnsville Mall. And then it was like, all right, after a year of doing both Pimento, actually 2 years of doing Pimento on my corporate job, it was time to step away. And we grew into our Eat Street location. And then from there, we have our location in St. Paul. We have a location at the University of Minnesota at the stadium. And then we, of course, have our food truck. And the most important part is our rum bar. That's where it all comes together, right? True Jamaican style.
There is so much to unpack in that. Like, I desperately want to go back to the idea that Minnesotans hate bones. I did not know this. But I was going to thought that you were going to say that Minnesotans were averse to spice. Like, that's sort of the stereotype that, in Minnesota, like, salt and pepper is as spicy as you can get. But was that not sort of an issue?
That was an issue, and thus we created the Minnesota nice sauce. Absolute name, right? So what we do is we ensure that we keep the flavors authentically Jamaican, but we know that there's such a variation in people's spice levels. So and Americans love sauces for some reason. So we created 5 sauces ranging from no heat neutralizer. We have the Minnesota nice, which is a jerk barbecue. Then we have the hotter version of that, which we call the Kingston Kick. We have right in between an homage to Minnesota, which is the jerk ranch. Yes, the jerk ranch, it exists. And then we have the extra hot. For those who dare, the bravest, it's called Kill Them With It. Oh, it is amazing. The Minnesotans are losing their minds over Kill Them With It. So I tell you, man, it is only a stereotype that Minnesotans can't handle the heat. Folks down in Burnsville, grandma down in Burnsville, were coming to us for the heat. And so when you try it, you're like, all right, the flavors are complex enough to where it's not just heat that's burning your face. You know what I'm saying? You get a bit of the sweet, you get a bit of the salt, you get a bit of the heart, and then all of a sudden, oh wait, I forgot that it was hot. And then before you know it, your head is on fire. But it's great in the Minnesota winter.
Oh my gosh. I guess, if it works in Burnsville, like, it's going to work anywhere, right? Like, at that point. So, okay. So you opened Pimento, and it is this fabulous restaurant. As you know, you've had a lot of success, but, and I hate to sort of like curtail the story, because there's a lot of wonderful, fabulous things. We did want to talk to you because this is such a weird year in so many ways and has been so challenging. So I have to ask you about that, which is, I mean, let's just start like back in March when, you know, it's already kind of Minnesota winter. Maybe a lot of people were coming to get warmed up with some spices, but this virus hits and then we got to start shutting down. We got to start locking down. And I'm just wondering, A, what you were thinking and then how you started to respond to that.
I would say I was thinking the same thing as everybody else in the restaurant industry. Wait, things were already tight before. Now we have to contend with this. Now we have to figure out how to close our restaurants, whether half of capacity or few hours a day or whatever it is. And so everybody in the restaurant industry was hit hard. In the hospitality industry across the board was hit hard. And so we ended up having to close our rum bar. We closed our St. Paul location. We had not been able to get our food truck out because nobody's downtown Minneapolis. And then our stadium location hasn't opened all year because nobody's in the stadiums. And so we've literally had to survive on our Eat Street location, just feeding the entire Pimento. We tried to keep people on as long as we could. We ended up having to furlough folks and kept them on as long as we could, and then we brought them back the minute summer hit, which was a couple of months, and we've been able to slowly but surely engage our old team as best as we can. And as the Rub Bar opens next week, we'll be able to bring more people on. But the interesting part about it is during COVID, we didn't close for any at all except for Palm Sunday and Easter Sunday because we were literally tired because only the reduced staff, we were working 3 times as hard. But one of the things that we did, and we encourage a lot of other restaurants to do the same, be agile, right? So we already had a delivery system. So how do you ramp that up to ensure that our Bite Squads, Grubhubs, Postmates, DoorDashers of the world are taken care of so we can get the food out there to our people who need it. The other thing that we did was we ensured that we had restricted hours to where we're meeting the market, but we won't be dealing with a lot of labor costs. And so we had to figure out how to balance labor in the new environment with the demand that was coming down the pipe. And then the third thing that we encourage people to do was try to focus on switching their model. So it's no longer a sit-down, high-end type vibe, not that Pimento was per se, but we ensured that the take-out model where you can do the grab and go was something that we can activate right away while keeping everybody safe.
Can I ask a question about the takeout? Because I feel like this is a special opportunity to ask like the co-founder and the head person from a restaurant. Are there things at the restaurant that you're like, this works great as takeout and this don't do it, like skip it or whatnot?
Mm-hmm. Very good question. I think to each restaurant is unique because, of course, if you're making lobster or whatever it is, so if you're making food that you have to make from scratch on the spot, on the fly type of deal, it's very painful. So what I would advise folks to do is limit their menu, restrict their menu to those items that can hold well. Those items that can be turned fast and get out the door as quickly as possible. What I would say to not do as it relates to the takeout model is to overcomplicate it. People just want to grab their food and go. But when you then start to have the systems, too many systems, people get confused and they come to one restaurant that has a different system than another restaurant. And so it becomes way too complicated. So I would say simplify the system, simplify the steps, and reimagine how you're serving people. It's about the food, high quality, safe food, and taking care of people. And I think a lot of folks try to complicate it too soon, and then we all figured out after the dust settled how to make it a bit smoother.
So I mean, there's more to talk about with COVID, but then here in Minneapolis, like there's a second chapter to the story, or maybe like a fifth, sixth chapter, depending on where you want to start the book, which is we had a period of an uprising in this city following the murder of George Floyd. And that was, again, a time of like great uncertainty, a lot of hurt and pain in the community, and a lot of businesses boarded up. And I kind of, as we said, it was very uncertain and unsure of exactly what to do. You all took a different tack. You all did something sort of different. And I'm wondering if you can kind of talk about how you responded to this moment, this very unique moment in Minneapolis and how that sort of changed your thinking, if it did.
Right. It definitely changed my thinking. I feel as though the George Floyd murder was black people and should is like a neo 9/11. You know, it changed everything for everybody who saw that video. And so we recognized that we had to do something. And so we knew that we wanted to do something massive. But when we were presenting the massive ideas to our community and to our employees, they're like, but wait, we're hungry now. Our supermarkets are burnt down. Our supermarkets are closed due to COVID. Our restaurants are closed due to COVID. We have access to no food. And so it was our employees and our community members and our volunteers who stepped up and said, we need to be able to feed our neighbors and provide support to those who were on the front lines. And so the first thing that we did was we created our own, within 24 hours, 48 hours, no, sorry, same day. So Mr. Floyd was murdered on Monday, and on Thursdays when the idea came to our heads, and by Friday the place was packed with products. So the community was hurting and saw that we all needed to do something. And so the community is what came together to create Pimento Relief Services, where we were able to feed 8,000 families within a few weeks, well over $500,000 in products that were donated from the community back out to the community. And it shows that we have a food desert here in Minnesota. Yeah. A couple of supermarkets closing meant that our entire city was without provision. And so we have to ensure that going forward, at least from a food standpoint, we don't go back to where we were. We have to eliminate the food desert in Minnesota. And as part of that, one of the things that we've done is we've built Pimento Relief Services, which is a longer term effort now, where we're focusing on providing operational resources for those on the front lines of liberation. When we talk about liberation, we're talking about economic liberation. So how do we create more black businesses, get more black people in food production, get more black banks, build back Black Wall Street? That's the economic liberation, right? To where we can now feed ourselves. The social liberation is how do we help people reimagine our story, her story, instead of his story. Black people's story didn't start with slavery, let's be honest, right? How do we focus on the healing that Black people need to go through? As a Jamaican, I don't have as much trauma as African Americans do. And so when I speak to African Americans and I hear the amount of trauma and the depth of it, we have to figure out how to help that community heal. Black men in particular need healing. And so that's a part of our social liberation effort. And then the political liberation is how do we get the right candidates to step up and run for office? How do we find resources to support those candidates? Black, white, or in between, as long as they're interested in our interest group, our special interest group of Black people, we want to support them. So how do we create our own political action committee? You know, those are things. So political liberation, social liberation, and economic liberation are ways in which we feel as though we can bring this forward to ensure that never again will we have the George Floyd situation happen, and never again will our city ever be in need as we were right at the Minneapolis Uprising.
So this is, again, a place where you have this amazing background in both economics, poli-sci, and then in food. And so when you're thinking about the things that make it harder for Black and brown people to start a new business, doors that aren't necessarily open for them always the same way that they are for. What are the specific pieces that you look at that need to change that would make it easier, more equitable, make the world sort of a more even playing field space for folks to actually, as you say, like open their restaurants, open their businesses, and have those opportunities?
Mm-hmm. Well, the situation is pretty bad. Let's start there, right? Whereby not only are doors not opening, oftentimes we don't even know where the doors exist. Yeah. We don't know where the doors are, and it's intentional. Right. And so through our efforts, I think what we're trying to do is help people reimagine how we can go about living and operating in an economy. And as part of that, what we're showing people is, first and foremost, keeping Black people out of your economy is a poor decision, because we all need to be able to participate in order to make this a truly capitalist society. Right. And so, for example, if you have a business that's selling widgets, you want to ensure that you have a vibrant Black community, a vibrant Black economy, because you don't want to be leaving 10, 20, 25% of your market out of the equation. And so we need to ensure that we're seeing Black people not as charity cases, but as people who have had empires, who have had Black Wall Streets that were literally burnt down. And all we're saying is ensure that we have the resources across the board, right? Not just for Black people, but across the board for BIPOC communities that we can tap. We know that there's enough money out there to where we can access it. But what we need to do is just literally face the fact that there's systemic racism weaved throughout our capitalist systems and throughout our infrastructure, through the banking system. I can speak personally. Even with a successful multi-million-dollar business, it wasn't until PPP was I able to even access funds from a major bank that I've had since I moved to Minnesota in 2006.
Really?
So all of the funding I've had has come through community organizations like MCCD, MEDA, and then MEDA was, and some of those groups were able to bring in smaller community banks to support. But the large bank that my wife and I have been with since 2006 when we moved here, it wasn't until PPP this calendar year was I able to qualify for those resources, even though we own our own home, have our own business, have great credit scores, and all of that type of stuff. And she has her own business. She had the same challenge to where she moved away from that bank, and now she only keeps her personal finances there, but all of her business stuff has to be gone because, again, a lot of these big banks, they just don't see the Black community as valuable enough, and it's sad and unfortunate. But from an economic standpoint, it's even sadder.
It's really stupid, and painful and horrible, and again, just bad. Okay, I should say, again, like in the second half of the show, we're going to open it up for you all who are watching, hopefully at home, to please type your questions into the chat, tweet them at us, send them via Facebook, all these good things. Let me just ask you a couple more questions, though, before we go. I guess the big question, you've adapted, you've changed a lot. There's been a lot of challenges this year. Just how are you doing? And how is Pimento doing?
I'm doing fine. One thing that I have to say is, as a Gemini and as a Jamaican Gemini, I'm eternally optimistic, eternally positive. And yet, I also have different experiences. I've lived in a country whereby I've seen where elections can be scary. The year I was born, 800 people were killed in our elections. 800 people were murdered during election time. So thankfully, I've seen chaos. So whereby now I am not as scared as a lot of other people. But that doesn't mean that I'm not scared. You know what I'm saying? I am human. Pimento is doing well. We have an amazing team, an amazing hardworking team, and we have such an amazing community of supporters. You know what I'm saying? Every day I walk in, it feels like home. And that's why we say welcome home, right? Because we want for you to come home, everybody to just relax and have a good time, regardless of what's going on out there in the world. You're coming home to Jamaica. And so Pimento is doing fine. We encourage people to continue supporting. We encourage people to order online and or come in and order and or come hang out in the backyard with us and or stay tuned because our rum bar will be opening because we definitely need the support so we can continue supporting our community. But overall, our community has really ensured that Pimento is safe, even during the uprising when we were under attack from white supremacists, right? Our community is who came out to defend and protect and keep Pimento safe.
And then Pimento is doing well, you say, and you're doing well. And how about the work that you're doing in terms of this social organization? You founded a B Corp, if I'm correct, right? Like to put this together. So how is that going? And maybe if you want to say a little bit about what the future of that is, at least at this point.
Absolutely. So we created Pimento Relief Services as a B corporation because no longer should taking care of Black people be something that is non-profit, something that we do in with the intention of losing resources, right? And so we created that as a B corporation to figure out how to generate the revenue that we need to where we're not asking for breadcrumbs, but we're buying our own ovens to bake our own loaves of bread. And then we've also created the Pimento Foundation, which is a 501c3 arm to where we can get donations from the community as well as from corporations. But what we're doing now, where we are right now, is we're building out the infrastructure. So we have amazing people today. We have had our global town hall, which included folks from Brazil as well as Chile. And so essentially what we're doing is we're seeing this as an opportunity to unite the scattered races of Africa, where we're starting here in Minneapolis to build a model city where we're ensuring that it's amazing. So
it is. I'm just saying, of all the places in the world to build the model city of the people of Africa, Minneapolis was not the first one on my list, but I'm delighted. I'm thrilled.
But who would have ever imagined Minneapolis being the center of the uprising?
Right.
And so it's just coincidentally, and it was written because here we are having this conversation. And so because we have the resources here in Minneapolis, we have the willpower and we have the brain power in Minneapolis to ensure that one, never again should a George Floyd happen. Two, never again should anyone go hungry in our city. We have sufficient food and resources in the state to ensure that people shouldn't be going to bed hungry. 2,000 kids shouldn't be going to bed hungry every single night.
Yeah.
All right. That's a shame. And so as we build pimento relief services, one of the things that we're doing is even for this week, for this election, we're doing a massive Get Out the Vote campaign. So stay tuned on that. What we're doing is we're partnering with the Minnesota Vikings, Impossible Foods, and Target to where we're over the 3 days, November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, we're going to be hosting sort of like safe concerts outdoors by the polling stations with the lowest voter turnout. And so on Sunday, for example, we're going to be November 1st, we're going to be up at North Point, close to the early voting in North Minneapolis. So where we'll have Vikings players as well as celebrity chefs out there cooking with us. And we're using that to feed our community and encourage them to get out and vote and to learn about the importance of voting. We're also going to be doing COVID testing and all that type of stuff. And so we're basically turning into a gospel brunch on that Sunday. Monday is the same thing. And we'll have Go 95 as a part of this, as well as the other radio stations. And so imagine we're going to turn voting into a party where we're coming out, we're voting, we're supporting one another. And it's a completely nonpartisan effort. It is more so helping to educate our community about the importance of voting.
Oh my gosh, this is the most I didn't think I could be more impressed, and I am very humbled and dazzled. This is so exciting, and as I promised, we're gonna bring you back in the second half of the show to answer some audience questions. But for right now, folks at home, wherever you are, please do a big round of applause for our guest for right now, Mr. Tomme Beevas. Everybody, yay! Big round of applause! Yay!
Big up, big up, big up! You're awesome.
Okay. So this is the part of the show now where we are going to turn the stage over to the cast of the Theater of Public Policy. Their job is to take all of the stuff that we just talked about, bring it to life through entirely unscripted improv comedy theater. This is all made up. It's all off the top of their head. And it's all digital across the internet. And so this is magic in every sense of the word. Please, wherever you are, make a big round of applause as we welcome the cast of the Theater of Public Policy.
Well,
Okay. I want the sauce that has no flavor at all. Is that something you can do for me? I just anything with a little bit of taste that it just
yeah, of course. I've got some ketchup that's watered down with the
Ooh,
sprinkle.
sweetheart, don't get ketchup. It's too spicy.
Oh, you're right, dear. You're right. Ketchup. How about I like the idea of the water part. How about some water? And maybe I can get just a little bit of flour in it.
Ooh, sweetheart, can you make sure that it's really watery water?
Oh yeah.
So just so
tell me
I'm
about the
clear,
water.
you just want a big glass of water to spread on top of your meat?
Oh my goodness. You are the best restaurant owner I've ever met. Oh, thank you. Yes, that's what I would like. I would like some of your special hot sauce water.
Wow. Wow. I can't. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I can't.
Wow. I said wow. I said wow.
I know.
That was, yeah.
Yeah. Listen.
Yeah.
I would like some of your special hot sauce.
I'm so excited. I can hear other voices, but I'm so excited. I have developed a bun that has both sesame seeds and sea salt on it, and I was really stoked. But then I went over to Tomme Beevas's restaurant where
Yeah.
he's actually curing humanity with his food, and I feel like I'm not doing enough.
I know. I was like filling out your survey, and I was like, oh, it says on the salt. That's really good. And I just happened to glance in the paper that he's just like kind of like he's got the whole community out there. He's got like friends like working for him for free, and he's like giving food away. And I like where you're going with your thing, John. But I'm starting to feel like maybe you don't get it.
Well, no, but I have bread and butter pickles. I mean, I have bread and butter. Most people don't have bread and butter pickles, and
Yeah, like he literally has a hamburger that you bite into, and it cures diseases. Like all you literally have to do is like you bite into it and you look someone in the eye, and then like they can have anything, and it's like it's gonzo. I don't know if you can match that.
but it's hard to keep. I have put paprika on my curly fries. I mean, isn't that something? Or
Oh, that used to be like really great, and that was interesting. But he has like a seasoning now that you could put it on curly fries, or you could put it on a wound, and it heals instantly.
Hey, glad to see someone here. My grandmother, she banished me from the kitchen, but I think she might have banished me like all the way to like another dimension. So are you people? I can't hear you through your weird, I'm sorry, not weird, it's fine.
I forgot that you are an earthling. All right. We are from the dimension of culinary delights, and your grandmother actually sent you to us for special training because your destiny is to be a political scientist.
Okay, well now that's a weird step right there. But
Trust me, it's all gonna work out. Political science, economics equals delicious food.
okay, well, what my concern is right now is that my grandmother banished me to a dimension that is just kind of like lying to me right now a little bit because I'm not sure that I'm getting.
We are telling you the exact truth. Your future is as a popular and successful restaurant as long as you work in corporate responsibility.
I really want to believe you. I really do.
It's a leap of faith. It's a leap of faith. Trust me. All right? Study economics.
Okay.
Understand that supply and demand curve. Understand community outreach. And then make some kind of really excellent spicy sauce.
I think my grandmother just didn't think that I could cook, and then she sent me to business school.
I don't like my bones.
Faith, what's that?
Bones.
Your bones?
My bones. I don't like them.
You don't like your bones, dear. Okay, well, I could replace them for you. That's why you're here. That's why.
It is. Please replace my bones.
I'm gonna also need you to stop moving so that I could do this procedure.
Okay, I will stand as still as I can.
You're being a little twitchy. Hey, at the Bone Replacement Emporium, we got it all. What kind of bones do you want? Do you want thick bones? You want thin bones?
Oh, can I have...
What about your
Excuse me,
bones?
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Doctor, I have those papers that you were looking for.
Thank
Right
you.
there.
You could
What kind of bones does he have?
Oh, Carlisle has a special titanium bone that we grow from an aloe plant.
Oh, a natural bone.
It's absolutely all natural. Now, I wanted to check in with you, dear, because it's a very crude procedure, and I just want to make sure you want to go through with it. Why don't you want the bones? Bones are a good thing, you know. There's meat on the bones, you know.
Yeah, I just want the meat.
You only want the meat.
I get around there and I'm like, meat's great. What are these? What's in it? What's this hard thing?
Yeah, I
What
understand
is that?
I understand that. I tell you, I was in a relationship once, and I was with someone. They say, you know, you don't have enough meat on your bones, and I know, and that's how I got into this business. So what I'm doing is I'm relating. I'm empathizing with you.
I'm connecting. You are very good at this.
Okay, well, you know what I recommend, because you say it's all about the meat. I have meat bones. They're bones made. Yeah, I know. Hold on, hear me out. It's just all the marrow inside compacted together, and it's just bone marrow that we insert under the skin and under the meat, and it's just basically nothing but meat.
Nothing but meat.
Really, you can bite into it almost, but I wouldn't.
Welcome. You have arrived in the enchanted food desert.
Oh, wow. Look at it. There's nothing here.
There is nothing here at all but what you make here.
Oh, what I make here. Well, since it's a desert, I think I'll have a sand quesadilla. Or maybe I could have a dead tree taco, or...
Ah, yes, I see what you're doing. You are assuming that this food desert has nothing in it, but you have the power within you to make something more.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I have never, I hate to say this, but I've never had jerk chicken before. And I would like to make it here using my mind. And so if you could help me.
Yes. Now, you have a neighbor who is from Jamaica. You know how when he gets home from work and he cooks that wonderful food and you smell it so well?
I do. I know that feeling.
Opportunity. See, you have business acumen. He has talent.
Wow. You know, what's amazing is that you're a wizard, but you're really just describing my life. That's incredible.
Yes. And your father is not as disappointed as you think he is.
Oh, he's pretty disappointed. I mean, why do you call it jerk chicken?
As you think he is.
Okay. Well, so maybe what I could do is I could give away free food.
Yes.
And a survey.
Yes.
And then I could create perhaps the most thrilling business model and most tasty food that the upper Midwest, nay, North America has ever tasted.
Yes, and then you can start a B Corp.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for the cast of the Theater of Public Policy. Now, please welcome back to the virtual stage your host for this evening, Tane Danger.
Hey, well, that is fantastic. Hey, big round of applause for the Theater of Public Policy. Great. That's only after one rum cocktail. So
I know.
gotta
I
say,
know. I'm feeling it in my bones. I tell you.
I don't know if the audience at home got to see. I'm gonna request that Tommy do his boneless dance again for us once we bring. We're gonna bring it back in just
Do
a
the
second.
boneless. Do the boneless. Do the
Argentina,
boneless.
straight face. This is fantastic. So, this is the part of the show. We're going to open it up for you all to ask questions of our fabulous guests. We've already been getting them on the chat, but if you have more, please put them in the chat, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, we'll get them. I also have to say, this is the part of the show where I note that this show is free. And the only way that we pay for this show is by you all making a donation. Which, yes, thank you. It's very important. So if you think about it, historically, we've always been in this theater and we would charge, say, $15, which is still a pretty good price, pretty cheap for a theater show, to come and see us. And we can't do that anymore. We're putting these shows up for free online. And so the only way that this whole thing works in terms of actually being able to pay our performers, which we're very committed to, and keep all this technology running and keep Dennis in the tech booth happy, is if you all support it. And so there's a link in the text below in the chat. And it would mean a lot to us if you clicked it and you supported as you are able. And by means a lot to us, I'll just say, like, it's sort of the difference between the show continuing in perpetuity or not. It's because this is the business model now, is we do this show and you support it, and that's how it works. So if you can, support us below. But before we go any farther with me soliloquizing, I am going to bring up our amazing guest. Maybe he's already up. I don't know. Mr. Tomme Beevas, everybody. Yay!
Woo! Do the boneless. Do the boneless.
I want a gif of you doing a boneless dance. I'm going to send it to all my friends. Okay. I've got a lot of questions for you already. So the first one is pretty straightforward. So, when COVID is over, which hopefully it will be, are there things that you see as permanent changes in the restaurant industry that came out of this?
Absolutely. Safety has always been number one in the restaurant industry. In fact, it's not number one. It's everything in the restaurant industry. I think guests are going to be holding restaurants more accountable for safety, which we welcome. The other thing is people are going to be going to continue eating differently, whereby they're still going to do a lot more takeout than they ever have. The other piece about it is the bar scene is going to be very different. I don't know how we're going to be able to do it, you know what I'm saying? But either way, we're ready to do the boneless. Do the boneless.
That is the motto for 2020, do the boneless. I love it. And actually, you brought up like the takeout piece. You think that that'll be part of it. And we've got a question from Ben here who wants to know, what is your relationship with delivery services like Grubhub and Uber Eats? Do you see them as long-term, or do you think that there are other more local solutions that might bring more benefits to customers and restaurants alike?
I would safely say that we need a local approach. We need a different approach, but nonetheless, they're there now and they're quite honestly doing their part. The problem with them is they charge 30% for all of our food, right? So if you're buying something that's $10, now we lost $3. And remember, we were only making 50 cents profit on it to begin with. And so now we're at a $2.50 loss, just basic economics, right? Oh God, divided supply. I love that. And so what we have to do is find unique ways in which we can get people to come out and support us in the restaurant to increase our revenue by 30% automatically. We need to change it, but every restaurant is going to have to figure out how to do delivery going forward. I mean, whether you're a steakhouse, a seafood house, or a Jamaican joint, takeout and delivery are the models going forward.
I mean, if we're just like somebody watching at home, and I know that all of these people are your partners, and so you have, we don't want to disparage anyone, but if we're like, I want as much of my money to go to Pimento as possible, and that could be true for any restaurant that you might be ordering from. What's the best way to do that?
The best way to do it is order directly from the restaurants and not use those delivery sites. So a lot of restaurants, again, can't afford 30% going out the door to these companies. And quite honestly, I've called them out on this because now they've even created a black-owned restaurant segment in their model. And I'm like, well, by promoting us, you're not really helping us per se, except, yes, we're getting more visibility, but it's at the end driving your own bottom line because you're now just exploiting, for lack of a better term, the trend of supporting Black. And by them showcasing the Black business, they're increasing their revenue. But quite honestly, it's still hurting us because we're still losing 30% with every sale.
So for folks, if you're in the space to be able to order directly from a place and go and pick it up yourself or whatnot, it seems like that's your best bet.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
And then we still allow gift cards, and all those gift cards are available. And as you talked about, merchandise like T-shirts and those types of things really do help. They drive the bottom line for every restaurant to keep them open.
There's a question here about you talked about the things that you all were doing during the uprising and the work that you've done since then. This question is, what has been the response and feedback in opening Pimento's doors for relief services in the wake of the Minneapolis Uprising?
By 99% extremely positive. And by extremely, I mean beyond my wildest imagination. I was floored and overwhelmed by the generosity of the community. I remember one day I walked down to Pimento and it seemed like we were being mobbed, like we were being looted. We literally took over the street where one lane was just for people who were dropping off food and supplies. And we had people out in the middle of the street directing traffic. And that just goes to show the generosity of Minnesotans. And that goes to show their willingness to also solve this in the long term. And that's why we're inviting all Minnesotans to reimagine themselves as instruments of this liberation. Find out what you can do, how you can get involved, whether through Pimento Relief Services or whether it's going over to go support any local food bank. Don't be scared of North Minneapolis, by the way. Feel free to go over there, support the businesses in North Minneapolis. Go buy food there. Intentionally buy food there. Go get your hair done. Intentionally get your hair done. You know, support the Black businesses around there because, again, that's how we get all of our economy to keep moving.
That is, I 100% second that. Yes, that if anything, I've been saying to folks, like, if COVID and this period has taught us anything, it's that it's all of our job to support the things that we want to see succeed. Like, it's really as simple as that.
Amen.
Right? Like, if you want stuff to work, go and support it. Don't wait for somebody else to do it. And so that is 100% true everywhere, and particularly in places like North Minneapolis that people may not have always thought of in terms of where they're going to go. But yeah, we want our whole city to work and to function and solve these long-stemmed problems that we have.
Yep, that's what makes us a livable city.
Yeah, 100%. So, okay, I got another question for you here. How do you think the Minnesota state and local government response to COVID has been, specifically the restrictions on restaurants? Good, bad, mixed?
I would say I'm gonna have to err on the side of good because, quite honestly, COVID is serious, right? And even with our strict rules, there's still many restaurants that are like COVID centers, right? And thank God, knock on wood, that we haven't had any cases at Pimento per se. But this is serious enough to where I'd rather us not operating our business than me having to live with people dying from eating at my restaurant, whether it's through unsafe food or through an unsafe environment. And so I'm very supportive of those efforts. The only question is, what on earth are we going to do when it gets cold?
Follow-up question, what on earth are you going to do when it gets cold?
Yeah, so I don't know, but we'll figure it out. We will continue to be able to serve folks. We'll have our outdoor area set up, but indoors we have a massive enough space to where we can socially distance our guests. And at the same time, we're going to keep everybody safe because the party and the show will go on. We will keep bringing you the great Jamaican hospitality. So come on home to Pimento.
Okay. So just to follow up on, because the restrictions around COVID and the health measures are just this huge debate that people in a lot of spaces are having, and I think that there's a lot of ways to look at this. But you're the expert. You're in the trenches here in one way or another. So if just hypothetically, the state of Minnesota, the city of Minneapolis, everybody was just like, all right, we're peeling it all back. You can do whatever you want. A, would you change anything? And B, would you want to? And C, do you think that customers would respond, or is it more that the customers are leading this?
I think if they said, yeah, free for all, do what you want, I would be still cautious about how I'd operate. We have completely changed how we're going to do this anyhow, whereby our previous dining room will now be just for takeout orders. And we're moving our dining room over to our bar. And that's what we have to do, right? Reimagine how we're going to service our guests. So now if you're just doing takeout, you won't need to hover around somebody who's eating right next to you, right? You just come, grab your food, get out of there. If you're going to be dining, we will continue to ensure that I would ensure that we'll continue to socially distance ourselves until at least we're completely clear from this. But under no circumstance would I be irresponsibly enough to say yes, free for all. Let's get wild. And the reason for that is safety is not just one thing; it is everything. And we have to take care of each other. It makes no sense that I'm more concerned about my bottom line than I am about your safety coming home to Pimento.
Okay, I have two last questions for you, and they're both future-looking questions. One, in terms of the restaurant, Pimento, and your work as a restaurateur, what is it that you need right now, either from the state or the city or from us as citizens? I understand, obviously, you want us all to you need us all to come in order, which I am very ready to do. But I'm curious if there are things like looking forward for the next 6-12 months that you're like, this would help a lot if government would figure this out or people would do this or whatever it is.
I think I'm going to focus more on like the pimento relief services side.
Well, that was my second question. Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, I'm reading your mind. So let me answer your first question, and then I'll do pimento relief services. So let's do from the Pimento Kitchen side. I think if there's anything we need government to figure out what's going on with COVID and how to keep our people safe and if we need to shut down for a month or 2 months to get this behind us, let us do it, because we've already lost 2020. Please don't let us lose 2021 as well. And then I'll also suggest that people wear their masks. I was one of those I was originally a skeptic because, of course, in one of my many previous careers, I also did disaster relief, and so I was one of those who were like, oh yeah, I did SARS, it will come and go. Oh yeah, I did chikungunya, it will come and go. And I've been proven wrong, and I was wrong, and a lot of us were wrong who've done disaster relief before. This is very different, and wearing our masks are important. If Jamaicans can do it, Jamaicans were actually doing it in Jamaica, right? Jamaica, up until the other day, their death rate was under 50. You know what I'm saying? Yes, the entire country was under 50 up until recently, until a new wave came out. And that's because the government decided, we're going to wear our masks. And even though we're a party people, no more partying until we got this under control. And Jamaica was able to successfully control it, even with an election. We had full campaign election happening, and people were able to stay safe because they were socially distancing and they were wearing their masks. And if Jamaicans can wear masks in the heat, we can wear masks in Minnesota.
That is fabulous. So we already figured out. My second question is, in terms of this work that you all are doing with Pimento Leaf Services, and you said it beautifully already, trying to get everyone to see themselves as agents of change. What is it there that you are asking, charging, suggesting all of us do with that work going forward?
Okay, well, first and foremost, I would say with Black people, take care of yourselves. Start focusing on healing oneself, because you can't look at anybody or help anybody until you put your own face mask on, right? And so take care of oneself. Then I'd say that white folks, talk to other white folks. You know your uncle who needs to have a conversation. All right? You know your auntie Karen who's ready to call the police just because it's Tuesday. You need to have a conversation with them. Let's hold our people accountable, right? Let's hold each other accountable. And so that's what we can do as a populace. But I think there's so much more that we can do, because, for example, you within theater, you can, we say, there's that new thing that we see you white theaters where they're asking theaters to step up and ensure that Black voices are represented. Even in the theater industry, there are issues that need to be addressed. So how do we address it within the theater industry? If you're an accountant, even in the accounting industry, this needs to be addressed. And someone would say, see yourself as an instrument of liberation. We're not asking you to go get an MBA or be somebody other than who you are. It's where you are with what you have and the resources you have. You know you have the opportunity. You know what you need to do. And you just need for somebody to give you the charge. So here it is. I'm giving you the charge. Do what you need to ensure that we can pull ourselves through this and make this place much better than we can ever imagine. And finally, I would say, even with the corporations, every corporation right now, we need to move beyond the check writing phase, or we need to move beyond the, oh yeah, we hired a Black person, so we did our job phase. Every corporation can really be an instrument of liberation. So if you're a food company, you should be figuring out how we're going to ensure that our city has the food it needs. If you're a tech company, you should figure out how we're going to help get more back into tech, because of course, America is only going to get browner and browner, right? And so it's how do we ensure that we all have the tools and resources to ensure that America's economy continues to grow for all of us.
On that wildly positive and important and inspiring note, please, wherever you are in the universe right now, if you're watching this live or you're watching it on tape, I don't care. Make a big round of applause for Mr. Tomme Beevas, everybody. This is amazing. He's a great man. This is great. I love it. All right. While he's doing a boneless dance, I am going to throw the stage back over to the cast of the Theater of Public Policy. One more time, their job is to take everything that we have talked about and bring it to life through entirely unscripted improv comedy theater. So please make a big round of applause one more time for the cast of the Theater of Public Policy.
Hey, welcome to Burnsville, where you can't handle the heat. But we're so glad you're here, darling. Speak up, I can't hear you. Yes, I'm so glad you brought your doll with you. We are now a thriving Black Wall Street and a real Black economy in Burnsville. Thank you for talking to your white friends and your white friends talking to your other white friends. Yes, dear.
She can't hear you, Lester. She can't hear you. You gotta speak up.
Oh, I thought I was yelling at the top of my lungs. I'm so enthusiastic. Sweetheart.
You know what? You're doing great. You're doing great. Okay, he would like to have some of the oxtail.
The oxtail.
And maybe. Oh.
Okay. Yes. I'm trying to understand. Does he want to trade the little white girl, the little white doll with the little blue-eyed, blonde-haired girl? Does he want to give it to me for the oxtail? I don't understand.
I'm sorry. I was kind of like in my own head for a little while because there was a lot of yelling going on. But I think that I'm back on track now.
Different.
Yeah. So I came out here because I was I was worried about the socially distance thing, and so I bought it's not a doll. It's a grown man's toy. This isn't helping me at all, is it? I'm not.
Lester, don't be ashamed of yourself. Be you. You be you.
Always be.
Sorry, you're right. I'm better than this. I came out here specifically because I wanted the world to know that collecting porcelain dolls is a thing that a man can do, and we can all together be whoever we want to be. And if that means collecting incredibly terrifying porcelain dolls, I'm going to come up here to North Minneapolis and I'm going to do it. Gosh darn it. I'm going to do it.
That's
Oh,
what
I'm back to both of you. Both got little white girls.
That's right.
Hi, you must be Janet R. And I have your order right here, but you have to go through our system to pick it up.
Oh,
So,
of course. I'll do anything. I want to follow the rules.
Exactly. Good. So if you would just give me your social security number, that would be great, just as a start.
872-331-428-V.
Okay, good. And when you placed your order, you also said who your first boyfriend was in junior high school.
Oh, it was
special
Andre
Andre.
Wilson.
And where was the accent on Andre?
On all the letters.
Good, good. And then there was one other question, and this one is, I think, perhaps the most important. If you take our food, if we actually give it to you, do you promise never to eat at another?
It's not much of a secret, but if you go to the north side of town, you can find the jewels. You can find what you're looking for.
Okay, look, I'm an agent of change, but I hear the north side is incredibly dangerous. I don't know that it's safe for me to go there.
Oh no, it's not what you think. That's a falsity. That's a misrepresentation. See, the thing is, I moved out here from California, and I tried to leave so many times. I was in the airport, but it was the north side that kept calling me and calling me, and you know what it was? I kept trying to be an agent of change, and I needed to change myself. Agent of change, and I don't want you to get wrapped up in that, you see?
Oh, no, I see my mistake. I'm calling myself an agent of change, but I'm not actually changing.
No.
I'm going to go to the north side.
That's where it begins, and you'll see there's nothing there but community, love, and support, and neighbors talking to neighbors, and beautiful food, and I never saw anything like it.
My eyes are opened. Why, there's nothing to be frightened of. This is just a community.
That's it, and your eyes are open, and you know what else you can open? Your wallet.
Nope.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't hear her there. It's as if you're muted almost.
I see you. I just want you to know. No, I see you. I've been looking at you.
Stop. Oh.
Yeah, I can't stop because I see you.
Oh, listen.
Yeah.
As a Gemini, you know that hits harder than anything else. All right, it cuts right deep down.
But I'm a Libra and I see both sides of it. So maybe you could sing with me, okay? I'll begin. I see you.
I see you too.
And I like what you're doing.
More than anything in the world.
I hope you're making things better.
I hope you're making things right.
I hope I can call you any day or any night.
And then we finish the last part together, right?
Of course we do. That's my favorite part. I'll take the lower harmony. You go on.
I'll go up? Yeah, sure.
Okay, good. Okay.
I see you. It's my favorite part.
Wow, that was so good. I wish I could hear Alexis sing too.
And that's what Minnesota nice sauce is all about.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for the cast of the Theater of Public Policy. Now, please welcome back to the virtual stage your host for this evening, Tane Danger.
That was amazing on so many levels. So much applause and love for the cast of the Theater of Public Policy. I honestly, until this moment, I did not think that singing via Skype in unison would work ever. So thank you so much. You all are amazing. I love you. Hey, everybody watching at home, I love you too. You all are amazing and wonderful, and we really appreciate you being part of this show tonight. I got to do my shout outs one more time to the folks who have helped keep this thing going, which is all of you at home, particularly those of you who've donated and helped keep this show running and made it so that we can keep paying our performers and our team for doing all this work. A big thank you to the Bryant Lake Bowl, this wonderful theater space that still opens its doors for us, and we still want to make sure it's here. Please support the Bryant Lake Bowl. And then last and definitely not least, Finnegan's Beer, which is an amazing beer. It is delicious. It helps feed the hungry. And do me this favor. It's not even a favor for me. It's for you. Go get some Finnegan's Beer. Use the code T2P2 when you use their online ordering system and get 20% off of that beer. You will be doing everyone a big favor, most of all yourself. With that, that's the end of our show, and I am not exaggerating what I am saying. This was one of my favorite shows ever because this guy was one of the best guests that we ever had. So we're going to bring back our whole team and our guest tonight. So one more time, our fabulous team this evening, Heather Meyer up there, everyone's doing a boneless dance. Jim Robinson, Chris Rodriguez, Alexis, Camille, Fred Chang, and the amazing and wonderful Tomme Beevas. Go get Pimento. Meet me at the Rum Bar. I will drink with you there. I can't wait to do it. Thank you so much. Dennis Curley is in this technical booth that makes this whole thing work and look amazing, and he is a magician in every sense of the word. He will make scarves disappear like you wouldn't believe. Until next week, everybody, we are going to be back next Monday. Please tune in, tell a friend, get some Finnegans. Until then, we will see you next week. Good night, everybody. Oh, yeah.